Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition.
Woo.
If you like our show, you can like it. If you like it, you
Uh-huh.
can like it. You
Mm-hmm.
can
You can like
subscribe.
it more. You can
You
always
can
like it
sub
a little more.
you can subscribe and follow and share, and you can buy merch.
Yeah.
You cannot buy a hat that says sterilized men.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. You could buy one from me.
Yeah.
Just DM me your address.
But be careful. Just DMing people your address. But all right. You ready to
Yes.
get into the stuffs?
Yes, I wish I had been able to watch the Southern Hospitality reunion before this because I've heard it was bonkers. But
Yeah.
we'll get it next week.
Yeah. Or no, I'm not caught up either. So
Oh, okay.
unfortunate. Well, unfortunate for the listeners, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, maybe just biggest piece of news that came across my Bravo full of Bravo feed. Jax Taylor has revealed in a shocking turn of events that he has had a cocaine addiction for many years, but that he is now more than 80 days sober. He adds that this is the longest he has gone without something since he was 21 years old. He did say that because he only does cocaine when he's drinking, that he has also stopped drinking, which sounds like a good idea in general. Brittany has responded in like a few different ways. She's basically said like, of course I would like to be proud of him, but basically it seems like she's not really buying it.
Yeah.
So she posted on her story, quote, his addiction unfortunately has done irreparable damage to my son and I. I've spent years trying to help him. I wish more than anyone I could say how proud I am of him today, but I would be lying. His actions will speak for themselves, and to those asking why I stayed if I knew he had a problem all these years, you can't help who you fell in love with. I've done absolutely everything in my power to get him the help he desperately needed. Unfortunately, I was naive and believed his empty promises and his pleas to change for years. Once you have a child with someone, it's not easy to leave. It took everything in my power to gather the strength to walk away. For those that have been through similar, you get it. And for those that question me, that's okay. I'm in a much better place now. End quote. So,
I also feel like there's an added layer when we consider like the season 1 of the Valley storyline with Brittany that Jax was like so like on her about her
yeah.
drinking. And I think when they took the baby moon trip, somebody said like Jax is the one like questioning you about your drinking, but like Jax is always drunk or
Yeah.
something. And so I think that
But
that's like
Jax is like, but it's not hurting my stomach and I
right.
handle it, so who cares?
Right. I think that's like an added piece of like you like projected this onto me
Mm-hmm.
on national television and in front of all of our friends for
About like
months.
my ability to be a mom
Right.
while I drink. And
And
apparently you can't go days without cocaine.
yeah, and then you go on this podcast and say that you've been addicted to cocaine for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how dare you
Mm-hmm.
put my ability to parent our child into question it if you're fine doing it on cocaine all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah, also like everyone he's like, no one knows this, but I'm finally willing to say it, and everyone's like, no, no,
We
we
know.
knew. Like they're just like playing these like a series of pictures of him
Yeah.
with his eyes like looking like he's
Also,
high on cocaine.
on the episode where Jackson Brittany got married, there is in his dressing room a line of cocaine in front of him
Yeah,
on the
like
show.
also we all know that, like, they're doing coke,
Yes.
especially
The
on those nights
whole
when they're
Vanderpump
like,
cast.
yeah, like, especially when they're out on those, like, really crazy bender Vegas nights. Like, we're not stupid.
Yes.
Um, obviously that doesn't mean everyone has an addiction. And like, honestly, part of me like feels bad that I can't say like good for him.
Yeah.
But I don't believe you,
Yeah.
sir.
I think like Brittany is right. Also, like even like Chriselle kind of hinted at Tom Sandoval doing cocaine on the Traders.
Oh, great.
So
Yeah.
like we have no doubts
Yeah, and
that
they
y'all
always like
are
when they
doing
would
cocaine.
reference drug use, they always acted like just marijuana and like
Hmm.
no. None of
Yeah.
y'all are chill.
Right.
No one's
Not a
chilling.
single person here seems to have smoked weed.
Yeah. Um Another person who was once kicked off of a show on Bravo, Hannah Berner, has faced some backlash after a red carpet interview with Megan Thee Stallion, where she said that Megan's songs make her want to fight someone. When Megan kind of like tried to, whoop, nope, they just should make you feel cute. She kind of
Hmm.
doubled down and said they're the perfect song for when I'm talking shit. And you know, people have said that this is either a microaggression or straight up really bad racism. And she has since issued an apology on Instagram. It wasn't like great,
Hmm.
the apology, if I recall.
I
But
did not see
yeah.
it. Yeah, people are saying like Megan handled it so well. And
Mhm.
I like just being like, "Oh my gosh, no, like my songs are about like loving yourself and like knowing you're pretty." And then
Yeah.
she just kept saying it. But also people are now bringing up a conversation she had with Bowen Yang and his podcast co-host Matt Rogers. So they host the podcast Las Culturistas together, and apparently like they came up to Paige and Hannah asked Bowen Yang if Matt Rogers was his plus one, and he was like, oh no, like we just are like co-hosts. And I think like they said one of them is like married or like in a relationship, and she then asked, like she's like, okay, but y'all have like hooked up before, haven't you? Like tell us, have you hooked up before? Um, and they were like, no. And she was like, oh, come on. Like, just kind of like hinting that I think the drift people were catching was like, oh, these two men are gay. They must have had sex before.
Mhm.
Which already is not a great look, but especially coupled with the conversation with
Mhm.
Megan Thee Stallion on the same red carpet,
Yeah.
certainly shows a different view of Hannah Berner.
Yeah. There was another guy that they were interviewing, and Hannah basically just said like, "Are you single?" And
Oh,
he was like,
yes.
"No, I'm very married." And she's like, "Me too." And he's like, "Then what? Why'd you ask?" And I don't really care,
Yeah.
like as far as like being in jest. Basically, it was just an example people were giving about like no one gave them any training before
Right.
they walked on the red carpet and started interviewing. Like
Right.
they don't even know this person has been married for many years,
Right.
and they're asking him if he's single. Like they should probably like find out details about these people.
Well,
And then
and
it's like Megan,
then
this people were saying like none of Meg. I can't actually think of a single Megan Thee Stallion song that
right.
is like about fighting. Then you think
I
about
can't
her history with Tory Lanez. Is that right? That she's been shot,
the yes, I was
and
gonna
it's just
mention
like,
that.
yeah, it just at the very least, at the most innocent, they were ill prepared.
Yeah.
And but Paige seemed to like be fine, like recover
Yeah.
fine. But Yeah.
Yeah, I in that interview with that guy, she asked if she was married. He was married. At the end, she ends up saying that she was asking for Paige
Yeah, yeah.
because Paige is newly single and she wants to like set her up. And he was like, "Oh no, like I am married." But yes, I was also going to mention like I think I like I truly like I love Megan Thee Stallion, and all of her music that I listen to, I feel like truly is about like
Yourself.
loving yourself and like how
Yeah.
you look and like being confident.
It's like
But
obviously different,
yes,
but it's like message wise, like similar to like a Lizzo song. And I
yeah,
don't think you would, unless you're just in the habit of microaggressing, I don't think you would ever
right,
insinuate that like Lizzo's music would make you want to fight. So then it's like maybe just coupled with the fact that it's like rap, but like yeah, it's
yeah,
just coming across like you're just like an aggressive black woman
yeah.
rapping
And
about
I,
fighting.
but yes, I was gonna say the same thing about like Megan Thee Stallion. Like, I think not only does her music not like promote and speak about violence, but like I would argue that Megan Thee Stallion has a very anti-violence stance on things because of that situation in which she was shot and like how it played out for her, and like it like people have I don't know, like the way people have talked about it since then, and like I feel like she's spoken about this, that like it's people don't really seem to think of her as like a victim of a violent crime. Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think
Like
she has said like people don't really think of her as a victim of a violent crime, and I think because she is black and a rapper, like that's part of it is like, oh, like she must be like
this is
involved in like a
yeah,
shady situation,
this is
and
just a part
that's
of this
not what happened.
community and
Right.
like yeah.
But anyway, yes, I
Yeah,
think that
unfortunate.
yeah, and I think that like also very unfortunate with like who the conversation was with, like
Yeah.
that she has been the victim of a violent crime.
Yeah, yeah. It just yeah, it would be like bad
Yeah,
anyway. But then you're like, wait a second, like specifically this woman,
right. And I
like
literally can't think of a single song.
um
Anyway,
onto the Traitors finale. I have not watched the reunion yet.
yes.
Um
I
so
left watching the finale to come here.
so of course Tom Sandoval thinks he's an incredible Traitors player.
That was so
Um
funny.
Yeah, but also him and Andy got a good kick out of it on Watch What Happens Live. Like Andy was like, "So you like think you're really great?" And he's like, "Obviously, like they respect me so much, especially the women." And it was like funny. Like he
Yeah.
was being funny and then he gave Andy a Scottish bear and it sings Tom Sandoval's songs going wah 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 when he was doing the lullabies. It was crazy. Um, Gabby Windy tells us in the Traitors finale how much it would mean to her if she won this, because then she could get married to her
Mhm.
girlfriend. Surprise, surprise, she does get married to her
Like a
girlfriend.
month ago.
Yeah. And so Gabby Windy has a wife now.
Well,
Um, hmm?
that's all under caption said.
Yeah, that's true. But Gabby Windy has a husband now. Maybe Gabby's the husband. She didn't
Yeah,
clarify.
sorry.
um, she's married. I just kept staring at the sign in the pictures that says she believed she could, so she did. And I'm like, does this girl do anything unironically?
Right.
Like she said, my life is the irony.
Yeah.
I will take
Sammy,
every single moment.
we were just watching the finale and Sammy said like everything Gabby says, like the way she says it makes it automatically not believable. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, and I think that's why she's doing so well.
Yeah, true.
I was like, could
But
be. I was
also
like, I
probably why
love her.
Dylan thinks she's sus.
Yeah. She posted a TikTok today and she was like, I had a good day today. It was the first one in 5 years.
I did
can't
see
with
a
her.
clip online of the reunion, and they asked her, like, people say you sound like Jennifer Coolidge. And so that's true. That's true. The finale was crazy. I was on the edge of my seat. This show is so good. I actually thought like Brittany versus Dylan was like they were worthy opponents of each other. It was a good head-to-head matchup. But also Dylan is so incredible at this game.
Yeah.
And I was like, seriously, Zach, you've been hiding this dude from us?
I
Like,
know.
he's a little genius.
I know. I would have loved to see Dylan and Peter on the same season because I just finished watching season 2 and I'm almost finished watching season 1 now. And like Peter was like, he was like a little evil genius. But like, I also am curious, like, the way season 2 ended is not the way that this episode is ending. Like the way they're doing it. Like so like at the end of season 2, they do their final round table. They do reveal if the person is a traitor or a faithful, and then they all go outside and they have to decide if they're going to do another banishment or just end the game. And I don't know if they're doing that in season 3 because I haven't finished the episode. But like, why is he not let them know Brittany's a
I
traitor
think
if they
it's,
did in season 2?
I don't know, but it's so much better.
Yeah. I'm just
Because,
curious, like, it
no, they
seems like
probably
to be
just
changing
learned
a
their
lot.
lesson.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I think if you know that Brittany's a traitor, if they tell you Brittany's a traitor, the odds are good that there were not
Right.
two traitors. And so then you would confidently go into
Right.
that final fire of truth and you'd be like, yeah, fucking in
Yes.
the game. It's obviously, and so then the whole time they're in the fire of truth, they're staring at each other and they're like, did we get the wrong person? Like, are we about to give all this money to Dylan if he's a traitor? Or Dylan's thinking, is Gabby actually still a traitor? And then Dolores is thinking, is Ivor still a traitor? And Ivor's thinking, is Dolores still a traitor? And it's mayhem.
Ivor and Dolores making it this far is baffling.
Yeah, and those final 4 are all not gamers, which is very cool.
That's true.
Like a royal, Hollywood royal, a housewife, and a lesbian bachelorette. Incredible.
Yeah. All right. This one got kind of away from me a little long, but so crazy to me. So, have you seen all of this stuff about Zachary's daiquiris? Oh, great. So, Leva Bonaparte and her husband have a new business in Charleston called Zachary's Daiquiris, which is
Who
like,
is Zachary?
I know, it's a daiquiri bar, as they do. And it has already come on under fire. It opened this week.
Oh, good.
So after their opening night, they started seeing this like slew of 1-star reviews on Google calling them out for racial discrimination. So according to those reviewers, this is the story. They say they were standing in line to get into opening night, and a bouncer came out and told them that there was a new dress code. They said that that's what he said was there's a new dress code, which prohibited ripped jeans, athletic wear, and Jordans. And then all of the black men in the line were turned away because they were wearing those things. The reviews also claim that they then, when they were let into the bar, there seemed to be other patrons wearing those things or like wearing things that should have been against the dress code. Like they said, like once you saw what other people were wearing, it was clear that it was not about the dress code. So I don't know what they were wearing, but they were like, oh, they obviously shouldn't be wearing that if it's about the dress code. So basically, what these reviews are all saying is that this dress code was enforced like in the middle of the night, and that their thought is that the owners, managers, whoever was there saw black patrons wearing these items and then decided we're going to say they can't wear that, so they have to leave.
Okay.
However, I will say it is the same exact dress code posted on all of their business sites. So
Mm-hmm.
Leva and her husband own, I think, 3 other restaurant bars in Charleston, and all of them have the same nightly dress code.
Okay.
Specifically, the dress codes for all of their bars prohibit Jordans of any kind. I think except like the sports bar, I think is not part of it. But Jordans of any kind, high top athletic sneakers, jerseys or tank tops of any kind, pants or shorts without belt loops, sagging athletic shorts, ripped jeans, graphic tees, slippers, slides, Crocs, shower flip flops. I think the flip flops actually specifically says any non designer flip flops, but I couldn't tell because
Interesting.
the TikTok I saw it on the girl's head was in front of the word that
Oh,
started with DES.
okay.
But that's what I think it said. So this is like a norm across their
Mm-hmm.
businesses.
Yeah, and I
So
would say, like, obviously, the question here is whether it started in the middle of the night, whether it was
right,
targeted. Generally speaking, like, places with, like, I won't let Leva and her husband off the hook for this, because generally speaking, places that have dress codes are notoriously racist.
posting.
Or,
Oh
or like, the dress codes themselves are notoriously going to affect
yes,
certain populations more than others, and I think that, like, that has long been a frustration. Like, I've gone to really nice places, and, like, white men have walked in hats, regular caps, but then black men would walk in with maybe like a flatter build hat, and that hat's not allowed, or like whatever. And so I think that happens. I think that it's
mm-hmm,
like far more frustrating that Leva and her husband, who are both people of color, would
mm-hmm,
like allow. I understand that there are obviously someone sagging their pants doesn't look good in your restaurant or
mm-hmm,
whatever, but like, I don't know, I would think that you would like consider, like, this is coming across a little profiley, even if it
right,
is true across all businesses. It's still like not a great look,
right. And I
but
think I was gonna say, first of all, we have been to one of Leva's bars, and I think that at least 3 out of the 5 of us that went were wearing tank tops.
yeah.
But
And I'm like trying to picture, like, I'm pretty sure my jeans were ripped.
you were wearing a skirt. You were wearing a
Oh,
denim skirt.
oh, you're right. You're right.
Um, but your boobies were out. But
Yeah,
that's
but
not
I don't.
against the dress code.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel that as like a business, you and like the patrons of your business like are not the same thing. Like I would not like walk into your business and be like, "Ooh, someone's sagging their pants. This is not a good restaurant." You know? Like
I don't.
I don't see
I think some people would.
okay, racist people.
Sure.
But I also feel like you said that like
I think it's different
that
to say, like,
saying
our dress code is business casual, or
right.
our dress code is, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's
Yeah,
different. And to say, like, you're in here literally in workout gear,
right.
sorry, no.
That's crazy. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think that the idea behind like a dress code is like we don't want to give off the impression that we let any type of person in here, but then it becomes that the impression is we don't let specific kind of people in
Hmm.
here.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, like, check yourself that the things
right.
that you think are like unprofessional or are more casual, or the things that you think are not up to the standard of your business, consider like why you think that.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah. So,
I would think that Leva and Lamar would
right.
consider it.
So Lamar did post about this on the Zachary's page. He posted something a little more calm.
Sure.
On his personal page, not so much. He was basically like, this is bullshit, and I don't take it lightly that people are going to like talk shit on my business. Like, that's ridiculous. Leva has posted several TikToks about it, where she kind of like dissects the reviews. Also, like, part of this is that more recently, many 5-star reviews have come through Google, but without descriptions. And so people are like saying like, oh, they're like asking people to flood it with 5-star reviews so that the score goes up. And then they're going through and posting responses to those 5-star reviews as like the restaurant saying like, thank you so much for your review. Glad you loved it. That kind of thing.
Sure.
So she posts a TikTok about the reviews, and she says that like, yes, she could see why the bouncer said it was a new dress code. She said it is a new dress code because it is a new restaurant.
Yeah.
She also said that it's possible when people are saying like that they saw other people in there who didn't seem to be following a dress code, that their dress code, and this goes across the board for their businesses, changes from day to night, which I think is evident in like what the girls wear at Republic. Like during the
Sure.
day, they wear like Lululemon sets and sneakers, and then it's a different vibe at night. So she said like that it wasn't like enforced in the middle of the night, but when it was once it was 8 o'clock, they had to come out and say like, we are now enforcing our dress code.
But we also can't kick out people who have been
Right.
here since 5
all day. Right. So that, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
To me. But then,
yeah, I think the as far as like the semantics, like Leva and Lamar they have been business owners for a long time.
right.
I think that they probably did not do it in the way exactly that it was
right.
said. But like I still just think like Jordans of any kind
Yeah.
like is a really like to you could say high top athletic sneakers or you could just say athletic sneakers, because why would you want someone in tennis shoes at all?
I'm also pretty sure you wore Converse.
I don't think those count as athletic sneakers. I think high top athletic sneakers kind of just mean Jordans,
Right.
or Jordan adjacent. So it's like,
Nike
why do we even
Blazers.
need to say Jordans?
Yeah.
And like it just, I'm not, obviously we are not insinuating that white people do not wear these things, but it just feels like in a city like Charleston already that's like super white, it seems a little weird to pick a bunch of stuff that like the odds are statistically higher that the people wearing these things are going to be black or brown people.
Right.
And don't you want black or brown people in your black business?
I'm so glad you asked. So then Leva, so she makes like a whole series about this on TikTok. Like she's posting video after video. And in one of them she points out that the main like content creator that's spreading this information is a white woman, and that like Leva basically says like she doesn't appreciate a white woman slandering a black owned business for racial profiling, and that that's like out of touch. And I have also seen that woman's videos, and she made one after Leva said that and was like, yeah, I'm not going to stop saying that that's what it was, because it is. And so like here we are as white women. Like I wonder if that's kind of like an easy way to dismiss it and be like, well, a lot of these reviews are coming from white people who saw this happen. A lot of people who are talking about it are white people. Like, you don't understand. and like you are talking poorly about my husband who's a black man, and like I won't tolerate it. And like I think that first of all, I think that it's valid to say like my husband is a black man and he agrees that these things should have no place in our business and our restaurant, regardless of the fact that like he might have grown up with that kind of fashion, or that like he might wear that on a casual day. Like even he understands that that's the dress code. Like I feel like that's what she's trying to say. But like also I think regardless that there are these like undertones of like, we know what you mean when you say that people can't wear these things.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
we
I think
all
that's
know
why
what you mean when you say pants must be worn around your waist.
Yeah. And like I think that's why people expected more. I think that like sure, on paper could someone tagging their pants, people having a bunch of ripped up jeans, white or black, could that look unprofessional, too casual for your restaurant? Sure. But I think because Leva and Lamar are people of color and they have a black son, I think that people expect that they take that extra step in thought and they say
Right.
like, oh, like this feels like it's targeting certain
Right.
people,
Like how would
or
I
like,
feel
right.
if
Yeah.
I was told that?
Yeah, and I think that like sure, they probably could say lots of other businesses in the area have a similar dress code, blah 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 blah, but it's like I think the idea is that like as people of color who are trying to promote your black owned business, it's coming across like you care more about making money than like being fair and ethical and like for your community, and like it just, which I think has always, like that's just been true about Leva. Like she just wants to make money. Like they just want
Yeah.
their businesses to succeed, and like
Yeah.
that's fine. But yeah, it does kind of
Yeah.
suck.
I also think it's like different to hold your employees to a certain standard versus like your patrons. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I do distinctly remember that bar I'm thinking of that had like what I understood to be like a pretty racist dress code. They also had like a sign up at the bar that was like no longer serving Hennessy. And I was like, I don't like none of this.
Yeah, get out of there.
I don't like it.
Scary. Moving on. Sheena. Has anyone checked on Sheena? She's doing great because she finally got her chance on a reality competition show. She was on The Masked Singer as the Bat. I don't understand uh the timeline of The Masked Singer.
Yeah,
Is it like one episode
I have
where
no
the
clue.
person comes out and they sing and they guess?
I have no clue.
But then I also think that there's a winner.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't know at all. But I had seen this video of the bat, or of Bat, I guess. And it was like, oh my god, within 2 seconds, we all knew who this was. And I was like, yeah, we do. So silly. And I was like, it's JoJo Siwa. And then later, it was not JoJo Siwa. It was
Yeah.
Sheena Shea.
I watched that video. I will say I watched it after the fact, but I felt like, oh, this is clearly Sheena. Like
Sure, if I watch
the
it back
first,
after I know.
right. I like, but like the first few things that come out of her mouth, it didn't sound like her voice was being manipulated. Almost like I was like, oh, that's like very recognizably Sheena's voice, and then after a while, it didn't sound like her anymore. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Last thing for tidbits. I almost put this in real-time true crime, but then I felt like it made more sense here. And of course, it's gonna be really hard to transition afterwards. But Shangela from RuPaul's Drag Race, Dancing with the Stars, has been accused of sexual assault by 7 different men at this point, which is like just disappointing, I
Yeah.
think.
It's bad.
Yeah. Um, so basically, the allegations are that Shangela has been drugging men and then watching as someone else rapes them and then participating in the rape as well. And specifically, the allegation I saw was by like this most recent person, and they said it was something that took place after the taping of a TV show. And so like I don't know exactly like the content of that. Like, is it a TV show where Shandra was there in drag and like
Yeah.
I
Is this
don't know.
happening in drag? Is this
Right.
happening when
Not that
he's
it
just
matters.
out? No, but like, is it just like this is part of his like dating, like just
Right.
like escapades, like he picks up
Yeah. But
men
I
and this
do
happens,
think,
or is this happening at like drag events and like,
yeah, I do think, and I like tell me if I'm talking out of my neck here, but I do feel like maybe there is a bit of a difference if he's in drag or not, just because like I mean, not that Shangela is not instantly recognizable either way, but like in drag, is there this added like, um,
this is a famous person.
right, like the like a feeling of being like starstruck or like you have to do what they want you to do because like they're important versus like again, I would recognize Shangela either way, but
Sure,
versus like if you don't instantly recognize him out of drag, like this is just some dude being skeezy, you know?
sure. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know, you're right. Like I don't know why it matters to me, but like when I picture it, I feel like it does.
Yeah.
It like I don't know, but it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
Bad either way.
And it's not a good look for
The
our
movement.
yeah. Thanks a lot, Shangela. Um all right, moving on to The Bachelor. The Bachelor, the last 2 weeks has been an actual snooze fest.
Mm.
So boring. So boring, in fact, that I can't remember what happened before the episode I watched yesterday.
Okay.
Except that Carolina went home and Serafina went home and someone else. Oh, Alex went home, which was disappointing because I really liked Alex and she got the first impression rose. But this week was hometown week. And Grant went home with Juliana, Dina, Zoe, and Latia. So, first, I would like to issue an apology to Juliana because last episode we did pop culture. I said Juliana is not the type of girl who gets to the end of this show. Specifically, like, um,
You said
just
because
about
she's
like,
like all up about the drama.
yes, and she's the one who keeps like warning him about it.
Sure.
Um,
Never a good sign.
right. But I actually feel like he likes her the most now. Like
Okay.
their hometown, they seemed really into each other. He hit it off with her dad. Um and I feel like he really likes her. Zoe was an interesting choice to get this far because they have not had a one-on-one. And early on, Zoe was involved in quite a bit of the drama. Like she was like the I'm not here to make friends girl that other girls were wanting to tattle on.
Okay.
And again, that girl doesn't usually make it very far either.
So
Um,
Grant is
they
not a great
either
chooser.
right, they either don't make it very far or they win and break up within a month.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since that.
Mm.
And I feel like because she spent so much time up in the drama, she didn't get a lot of time with him. But at her hometown, she she talked about that she's adopted, but that she really doesn't have a relationship with her adopted parents anymore. And I want to say that she said that her adopted parents were white and she is not. And I want to say that that has something to do with it, but I could be very wrong. And I hope I'm not. But so instead, she introduced him to her chosen family. And I think he really liked that because he's talked a lot about on this show that, like, he doesn't really have a relationship with his family either right now.
Hmm.
And so I think that he really, like, resonated with her on that. Like, they've bonded over it, but I think, like, specifically he liked that she had people who were there for her that were,
Sure.
like, mother and father figures that, like, meant more to her in that way. But also, he has spent every episode he has taken the time to talk to someone about his tattoo, which is of a lone wolf, and he got it when he was on vacation somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And he tells the exact same story every time, and Sammy thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And every time he says it, Sammy says, take a shot, he's talking about the lone wolf again. And so he's like at this hometown and he's talking about it, and I was like, he's talking about the lone wolf, and he was like, take a shot. But
It's like when Dave says, my
my
sister.
sister, yeah. Latia, first of all, Latia is so beautiful. I love her. But Latia is a Mormon. And Grant is the first non-Mormon she's brought home to her family, and so he was very nervous about that. But I think it was kind of cute. They had like a dirty soda bar.
That's cute.
I was like, that's adorable. And like they really seemed to like him. Also, like her and Juliana brought like their whole family. And
Oh.
Juliana's Italian. So she like went through the list. He met like her aunts, uncles, cousins,
Mm-hmm.
grandparents, like everyone. And Latia was kind of the same way. Um and her family seemed to really like him, like despite his concerns about their religious differences. But Latia, so Latia's dad is Hawaiian and her mom is white, and her dad passed away, and so like everyone there was white
Mm.
except Latia and Grant.
Oh, okay.
But also, this is a side note. Sammy and I were talking about this. There was another show we were watching where this came up, but we were like, I feel like a lot of Hawaiian people are Mormon.
Mm.
Because I don't remember what show we were watching where it got brought up, but Sammy, I was like, yeah, but I've heard of other Hawaiian people being Mormon. He was like, no. I was like, Jin
She's not
Shaw's family,
Hawaiian, though.
she's Polynesian.
Yeah,
But like so I was like, I feel like a lot of like Pacific Islander people
sure.
are Mormon. I don't know if that's a thing. Please
But
weigh
Jen
in.
Shaw's not Mormon.
Not now, but she was
Oh, she was?
I think she said that that was why they moved to Utah, was because her mom wanted to be
Mm.
Mormon.
Mm. Oh, she is Tongan and Hawaiian.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I have no clue. The
I
answer.
wish I could remember what we were watching where I said that, and so then I was like, see, here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
So lastly, Grant met Dina's friends. Her family did not want to participate. And I think that is very different from Zoe's situation, where Zoe's like, you won't meet my family because
They're not a
we're
part of my
not
life.
right. We're not like we don't really know each other anymore. And Dina has a family that she loves and cares about,
That
that
he
loves and
will
cares about
have to meet
her.
eventually
Right. But
if
they
they were to
won't
be together.
come.
Yeah.
And as soon as she said that, I was like, she's going home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way around it. And I had actually left the room during the ceremony, the rose ceremony, because I had a headache. And when I came back, I was like, oh, who went home? And Sammy said, Hannah. I said, who the fuck is Hannah? He said, Hannah, the white girl. I said, there's no one named Hannah. There's two white girls. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, what are their names? And I went through them. He said, I think it was Dina. I was like, was she blonde? And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay, Dina's the only blonde one. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it was Dina. I could be wrong. I mean, I probably should have looked it up before I came here.
Yeah.
He could have maybe meant Juliana. I doubt it. But
It would have to at least be Juliana for him to think it was Hannah.
but like Sammy, Rip Hannah.
All right. On to some Bravo show updates, which is again just Southern Charm and Summer House. Um, so I hadn't seen the episode yet, but I had seen that Vanita posted this. So
Uh-huh.
Vanita posted on Instagram, and after watching, I recognized that there must have been a lot of editing cuts that happened. So this is pretty egregious. She posted that production played things in a different order than they happened. So the audience, after watching her, or after watching the cast in the Bahamas, is like, oh my god, like Benita already knows that JT has a girlfriend and she's like flirting with him. She's texting him all these paragraphs. She
They're
went
talking
into
about
her
her
room.
straddling him.
She went into his room, no cameras for the evening, where she says that he professed his feelings to her. Um, and so like she looks like a homewrecker. But she says that that trip for the Bahamas, or like they went to the Bahamas before that scene that we watched a few episodes back where he comes over, she makes him Branzino, and he tells her that he's dating someone. That's like very confusing to me because all of like the interview cuts, like she'll talk about the Bahamas and then she'll say like, but if he has a girlfriend, um, but like again, like that, it's very possible that like they're
Mm-hmm.
speaking to her. They're saying, okay, tell us how you feel about the Bahamas. But like by the time she's doing her confessional, she also now knows that he has a girlfriend, or they're taking clips of her in her confessionals talking about the Branzino scene and putting it here. And so it's just like either Vanita's lying, which like I don't think is true. Do people think
Mm-hmm.
that she's lying? I don't know. Or like it is actually just like a lot of editing that went into trying to make it look that way.
Yeah.
And like I get that that's like more interesting, but that's pretty rough.
Right. He also like in his interview about what happened in his room, he said like
Because I'm
I
kind of seeing someone.
right, he said like I tried to make it clear the two times I had to pull her off of me that this isn't going to happen because I'm seeing someone. And so I feel like maybe it's possible that like in that conversation that it was a lot like the Branzino
Sure.
conversation, which also I think would make sense because we know Bravo will like make them refilm things so that they
Yeah.
can get it on tape. So like the fact that JT wouldn't let the cameras in at that point, maybe they said like, no, we have to, you have to have this conversation on camera at some point. And so maybe it's the same kind of thing over
Sure.
again. Like I feel the same way about you that you feel about me, but I'm seeing someone. And like, but also like, let me say, as soon as your girl watches this, you won't be seeing someone.
Yeah. And I also
What's the
like,
point?
yeah, even in the Branzino conversation, which I assume is like what you're saying, like he didn't say I have a girlfriend. He said I'm
Yeah.
seeing someone. So it is possible that all throughout the Bahamas, he's like dropping these little like, well, you know, I shouldn't because I still haven't like ended things with this girl, or I'm still
Yeah.
kind of seeing this girl enough to like keep Benita thinking like, but maybe in the same way, albeit Delulu, in the same way that Molly is like, well, if Shep and Sienna aren't actually together, like I'm still interested. So it's like it is very possible, if not probable, that JT wasn't making it clear.
Yeah.
Or I do think that's a good idea that like maybe, but see, I would say maybe she found out in that closed room session, but like then the whole next night, like she's texting him the paragraphs and Sally's like, "Does he have feelings for you more than a friend?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Do you have feelings for him more than a friend?" And she's like, "Yeah." And like she doesn't say, "But he has a girlfriend." So
Right.
like
Well, and I think,
it
yeah,
does seem like she didn't know until the Branzino conversation.
yeah. And I think that you're right about like the wording, but then like when they showed the picture of them, they did write like JT's
Yes.
girlfriend, but I also I just can't like wrap my head around like what is going through his mind, like in the specifically in the Branzino conversation. So like at the point where she says like, "Don't pretend you don't want this as much as I do," and he says, "Of course I do." I was like, you're not going to have a girlfriend. If you
Yeah.
have one now, you won't in the future. So
Yeah.
if you want Vanita just as much as she wants you, like, I'm not saying like have an affair, but like if you want to be with Vanita, then break up with your girlfriend and be with
Yeah.
Vanita. Like,
Yeah.
because
I
you're not going to keep her after this anyway.
Yeah, I also think that like it makes so much more sense. That Branzino conversation was like kind of weird as viewers to be like, why is she so convinced that he's into her? Like
Right.
Vanita's jumping all in, she's kind of embarrassing herself. But then if you take that the Bahamas was first, where
Right.
they were flirting the whole time, where she was defending him, where he's sending her paragraphs, and like maybe her confessional where she says like he's spending all this time talking to me and you're getting crumbs. Like maybe that's just her in retrospect saying, now that I know he had a girlfriend during that, like he was sure paying a lot of attention to me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the editing looks bad. Like
Yeah.
it
That's fucked
she
up.
both simultaneously looks like desperate
Right.
and like a homewrecker. So
Yeah, why do they want Vanita to leave
yeah.
the show so bad? Um, we have to title this episode Branzino Conversation.
Yeah. That
We've said
that
it
Branzino
10,000
conversation.
times.
I just like don't even know what else to call it.
Yeah, the Branzino Conversation.
Yeah.
It sounds like when you're learning about like a historical event and they have like different names, like they're like the this files and like these
Mhm.
trials, like that's in the Branzino Conversation.
Yeah. We also get to see amidst all of that Sienna finally ends. I don't even know whatever is happening with her and Shep. She makes it very clear that it was never a relationship, that she would not say that they were in love. And yeah, it was just very embarrassing for him.
Yeah,
And
isn't
he
it
it doesn't
always?
doesn't seem that he actually really felt that embarrassed, but and like dude, the way that this girl was so uncomfortable to even hug him, I was like, "Oh my god, how have y'all had any sex ever?"
Yeah. I look, I don't get it.
Yeah. Back on I'm literally volleying back and forth. On
Yeah.
Summer House, Paige and Kyle go edit. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for that clip where he says she's being two-faced and she comes back and she says, "I'm being two-faced" in her little cute little pink baby doll dress. At one point he tells her like, "Okay, fine, like have your moment, have your moment." And like, yeah, no, she is.
Yeah. Worry
Like,
not.
yeah, like I that's not like the roast that you think it is. Um it was heartbreaking once again to watch how this affects like Amanda and Paige's friendship. Kyle has been doing this to Amanda for years, like causing problems in her friendships. And like yeah, we hadn't heard Amanda really talk about like how this had affected her and Hannah and like that it makes her sad that her and Hannah can't be friends now. And it's like something I don't really think about a lot, that like Paige still being business partners with Hannah would affect her relationship with Amanda. But it was sad and they was cute. But I also guess that this makes a lot of sense why like the Craig breakup was good for Amanda and Paige. And why like Amanda and Kyle have so much to say about Craig, because they're probably like, thank fucking God, like we don't have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. What is that song?
Oh,
I have to say, in the previews for this season, I was very, very excited to see the. Did you just call me Two-Faced? I never would have guessed she was talking to Kyle.
I knew she was talking to Kyle. I feel like in the
I was
previews I
like,
saw it was Kyle, but
I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. But I also like it. It made me sad when she was like, "I'll never be able to have a bachelorette party." But I was like, I feel like they'd
would be fine.
be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, people are suggesting that Paige jump ship now that Hannah has had this cancellation. That this is like the final straw of their friendship. And I think that like part of it is that happened along with this week's episode of Summer House. But I also think that we have to think about like how she talks about Giggly Squad in this week's Summer House. Like I truly don't think that she would end her friendship with Hannah, and I think that's disappointing. And like
Is it?
people, I
You
mean
want
like
her to end her friendship with Hannah?
no, but I think like
Like
I don't
obviously I'm
know.
disappointed in Hannah, but like
Yes.
I love that friendship for Paige. I
Yes.
love the two of them.
But I think that like I don't know. I think that I feel that way because I've seen people question where Paige's political views lie recently, and so like I would hope that she would not just like breeze over what happened with Hannah. But yeah, I don't think I want her to like end the friendship. But I think that like I don't know
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have anything else I guess with that. But back to Southern Charm with Craig. It was sad, I guess, to hear Craig talk about how he, like he felt like in attempting to drink less and to not be an alcoholic, he was going to let Austin down, but that like basically like Paige stood by him through all of that when he was acting bad and when he was always drunk, and that like Paige is really like the person who understands him the most. And so I think that's like sad that he's lost that. And I think it also makes it sad the way that he's acting about it, that he's like acting like whatever, and it's like, no, like this is his best friend.
Yeah. It is sad.
um but then it made me think about like Amanda and Kyle too, and like I always go off of the assumption that like when two people are married, there is a closeness and an understanding between the two of them that like we cannot see, right? Something is keeping these people married. Sometimes that is not true. Sometimes you get more of a inside glimpse and you're like, y'all don't even like each other.
Yeah.
Um, but like I just assume because they're on a TV show, like we don't get to see Kyle and Amanda all the time. But once again, in this argument, like it is so hard for me to
Yeah.
grasp it, because all she is saying is like you are in the wrong for bringing it up and rage texting one of my best friends
Yes.
for many days in a row about something that didn't even come out of her mouth. And all he's like, well, I'm not wrong for being mad at Craig and Hannah. And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you're wrong for being mad at Craig and Hannah. And like it's just like so like she literally, and I feel her so much when she can't do anything but call him dude. When she's just like, I can't keep having this conversation with you, dude. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I wouldn't even know what to say at this
Yeah.
point.
I don't
Like,
get them.
yeah, it's so strange. And he's like still like calling it like my business, and like I just think like that doesn't work for me. Like, this is your wife. Like, it's
Right.
y'all's business. Like,
And
whatever.
especially like after last summer where he was like, "No, Amanda, you can't do your own thing. You have to take care of Loverboy with me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, it's ours. It's ours. Wes Wilson went on Jason Tartick's podcast, which I thought was a financial podcast. So
It is.
why are you saying all this? But he said what I think are some pretty sexist things about how obviously Lindsay would not be returning for season 10 because what would she do with her baby? And I'm not willing to babysit, so like obviously she won't be back. Which is something that all women seem to hear in any job once they try to have a job after having a baby. People are like, well, I don't understand how she would have any time for that.
Right.
As if this baby does not have a father or like any other people. Lindsay has responded, and I think that this is like maybe not like gonna land well for like entertainment value. Um, but I think it makes a lot of sense. She said, like, this is my job. And like I now have a child to provide for. So like, yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to like keep my job and provide for my daughter. So, and I don't think obviously like maybe Wes doesn't want to think about Summer House that way, but like
She's just having fun.
she's not gonna come to our share house and get drunk because she's a mom now. No, she's
Right.
coming to get paid, dude.
Right. She wasn't getting drunk last summer either.
Literally, and she's literally telling everyone like, "Oh, if I could have turned that into a sponsorship, I would have."
Right. Apparently West made out with Brianna Chicken Fry.
I did hear that. I think she did not want to admit it, but he was.
Yeah, because it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's true. All right, on to Love is Blind, the ending. Do you agree with public sentiment that this is so far, or I guess not so far, it's over now, that this has been the worst and most boring season in the franchise history?
No. Um, I it like takes a lot for me to feel like a reality show is boring. Like I remember like this week sitting and watching The Bachelor and I was like, I think this is like the first time that I've like watched like one of these shows and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. It's so boring.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that season 1 was awful.
Mm.
And maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I like hated the people from season 1 and I thought they were all really weird and I thought that and like season 2 probably as well. I don't know. I think the first couple seasons were rough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess like maybe I get why people are saying that, but I just like I think I just don't think of reality TV in that way of like ranking them and like needing something crazy to happen for me to be bought
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. That's fair. It is probably, I don't even want to say probably, I think it is the most we've ever seen families not want to be involved. And
Mhm.
like, I do think there were a lot, like, when we got to the weddings, I was like, never seen that parent, never seen that parent, never seen that parent. And like, some of it, it wasn't even a storyline that we weren't going to see their parents. We just like didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I mean, I guess that's just like the Midwestern values. They're like, I don't want to be on TV. But basically we got a couple batches to get through. Lauren and Dave are so incredibly painful to watch.
Yeah.
Listening to Dave's like attempts to gaslight Lauren gives me whiplash. He
Mhm.
like can't actually even like settle on his argument. He says like if when in what ends up being their breakup conversation, he says like, well, if I wanted my family to meet you, they absolutely would have because they're so supportive of me. She says, yes, I believe that. Then he says, she's like, but that means that you didn't defend me to them or like tell them that you really want them to meet me. And he's like, oh yeah, I did. I'll show you the text. Of course I told them to meet you. And I'm like, but you just said that you didn't want them to meet her. You actually
Right.
literally said, I did not want to waste my sister's time, is what you
My
said.
precious sister.
Yeah, like what
Um,
is she doing? Curing cancer? Why can't we
have,
waste her time?
have you seen like how like her and Molly are really close friends now?
Lauren?
Yeah.
Sure.
And like people like want them to date.
Oh, sure. Then it obviously gets like so much worse when Dave gets drunk.
That
He's
was
like
awful.
literally sloshed, and he's like, you didn't text me either. And she's like, I shouldn't have had to text you, like I've been fighting for this the whole time. And he's like, no, you shouldn't have had to. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like that's the point she was trying to make to him.
Yeah.
Was like, I can't vote that way because I am a black woman.
So on to Ben and Sarah. So like Ben, this was like a strange conversation to me. They do the igloo, very cool date, very cool final date. They did that igloo date. Ben's like over talking about church. He's like, This is a non-wedding thing. I want to mention the prior episodes where Meg and
Oh, I
Mason walk
forgot
back
we
in.
skipped around.
Yeah. I want to mention the prior episodes where Meg and Mason walk in together. Honestly, again, good for them. Like I would love to be a fly on the wall in that relationship.